Hello, guys. It's been a long time since the last time I did this series where we read the BTS book. Beyond the Story, 10-year record of BTS together and chat about it. Right? I think it was like 4 months ago or something. So we're gonna do this again. So make yourself comfortable. Bring a cup of coffee or bring a cup of tea like me. And then until the last time I did this, I made videos, Korean version and English version combined into a single video. But here on, I'm gonna make them separate. So I just uploaded the Korean version a few hours ago, and this is gonna be the English only version. And as you know, this is not meant to be an audiobook because I'm gonna stop here and there and maybe put my own thoughts, talk about my own thoughts, and then show you some visuals that go along with the content of the book. And as you know, this book includes a lot of QR codes. So I'm gonna click on various links and then maybe briefly talk about them. What else? Yeah, so if you want to read the whole thing on your own, go purchase a copy. I think this book is quite nice to have a copy of your own, so I would recommend it. But in this video and in this series, you get to read it with me and then have a conversation about it. All right, one more thing. I have opened my window. It's kind of rainy in Korea, and I like when it rains in the evening or at night, and listen to music or do things I like. But if it's too noisy, if you can listen to like cars, hear cars, like I don't know, from outside the window, please let me know. All right, so here we go. We're gonna continue to read chapter 2, starting with the subchapter or section called Someone's Strength. The last time we did the series, we talked about the time when BTS, specifically RM and Suga, got dissed by a Korean rapper called Be Free, and how that became a very memorable diss for RM and Suga. And the ridiculous thing about that diss was that Be Free didn't even know or had never listened to BTS music before, but then he simply, like literally disrespected the members, right? And that was during the "Oh Are You Late" 2 era. And then I think in this video we're gonna talk about Skool, Luv Affair, and Dark&WILD eras. All right, so here we go. A sub chapter or a section called Someone's Strength. Skool, Luv Affair, BTS' third album, was released in February 2014. To use RM's expression, it was a second sweet in the sweet, bitter cycle that was their first 4 albums. 단짠, 단짠, that was the cycle that he referred to. Meaning, the first album did pretty well, but the second album was a disappointment. Skool, Luv Affair was quite good in terms of the popularity it got and the chart scores performance. But then Dark&WILD was the bitter part, which we will talk about in a few minutes. And Skool, Luv Affair was the second mini album. Let's briefly read over the description. So what you're looking at is Big Hit Entertainment official website and BTS page. It says, with their previous 2 albums, Too Cool for School and Oh Are You Late 2, BTS sang about the dreams and happiness of teens. The songs spoke about young people living without a dream and schools that force rigid and homogeneous thought onto its students. The new album, released on February 12th, continues to focus on school and teens. As hinted by the title, Skool, Luv Affair, the album's main theme is love that blossoms in the school. This album is a culmination of the Skool trilogy project that discusses the topics of most interest to teens their own age: dreams, happiness, and love. Such penetrating insight into the hearts and minds of young people led to the absolute support that BTS has received from fans their age. The members, again, directly participated in the making of the songs, vowing to ensure that the songs reflect the reality of the music fans of their own generation. And then here are the photos And here's the track list. Intro, School Affair, Boy in Love. Skit, Soulmate, Where You From, Just One Day, Tomorrow, BTS Cypher Part 2, Triptych, Spinebreaker, Jump, Outro, Propose. And I think in this chapter, the remaining of this chapter, they're going to talk about the intro track, Boy in Love, and Tomorrow. Alright, so here we go. Where are we? Yes. Public reception to title song Boy in Love was explosive, propelling the team to their first top-ranked candidacy on a TV music show. And what you again is a thumbnail for the video, music video actually. All right, the album recorded 86,004 shipments on the 2014 Gaon chart album rankings, a 250% increase over the previous album, Oh Are You Late Too. Unlike previous title songs No More Dream and NO, which were darker takes on teenagers with dreams facing down reality, Boy in Love explored teenage romance and injected a cheerful tone to their previously rough image. By refining the wildness they showcased in Attack on Bangtan, they developed a unique BTS-style love song. Though the dance choreography remained powerful and energetic, it included more lighthearted motions and school uniform-style costumes that made the team even more approachable to teenagers. Just One Day, a later song in the same album, 하루만, also centers on young love, cementing the theme The Way We Love as defined by the first track, Intro, School Luv Affair. This new direction was the first step in BTS musical expansion. Where previous albums were about the members themselves, their trainee days, their attitude toward music, their response to other people's perceptions, School Luv Affair began BTS's exploration of the outside world with the theme of love, which requires taking an interest in other people and looking to the world beyond the self. School Luv Affair also directly discusses trendy teenage fashion at the time, with Spinebreaker and all its social implications, but also includes Tomorrow, which takes the personal circumstances of the members and translates them into a universal message anyone can relate to. Tomorrow begins with Suga's confession of his pre-debut uncertainties, but the lyrics, this unemployed 20-something fears tomorrow, and a long way to go, but why am I still stuck here, conveyed a universal sentiment to many people in their 20s as they search for their place in the world. By expanding their own stories to include those of their peers, BTS defined living not just being alive, but living my life, giving courage to themselves and their listeners. It's always darkest before dawn. Later on down the road, don't you ever forget the you of now. It was a BTS signature encouragement, not leaning on baseless optimism, but not mired in negativity and despair. If BTS Cypher Part 2, Triptych, by the way, what does Triptych mean? Trip, T-R-I-P-T-Y-C-H, meaning a picture or relief carving on 3 panels, typically hinged together side by side, used as an altarpiece. Okay, a set of 3 associated artistic, literally all musical works intended to be appreciated together. I see. Right, because it's RM, Suga, and JHope. BTS, Cypher, Triptych. Alright, now I got it. Alright, moving on. So if the track was the members' perspectives on everything that came before, including the diss from Be Free, Tomorrow was a glimpse into the future of BTS. The music they would bring to the scene later with The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, aka 화양연화, aka HYYH, and this year marks the 10th anniversary. The series was already taking shape in School Luv Affair. RM looks back. Even when I think about it now, I think Tomorrow could only have been released because of Suga, because he's the one who wove together the beats and the themes. Actually, that was when our BTS season 1 exhaustion was at an all-time high. And there's a footnote about the season 1, BTS season 1. Alright, it says, although this is not an official term, BTS members like to divide up their history into eras. BTS season 1 here refers to the time from their debut to the release of their 2014 album, Dark and Wild. So, yeah, this one, and this one, right? That's the season 1 era. Alright, going back to the text. According to RM, Tomorrow arose from the series of obstacles the members faced from their debut onward. The disappointing sales of Oh Are You Late Too and Be Free's This had drained them, and BTS needed something to break them out of their funk. To make matters worse, Suga developed acute appendicitis. How do you... Sorry. Appendicitis. Meaning, so that's a disease, right?
Appendicitis.
All right, there you go. That's how you pronounce it. And apparently, a few years later, Jimin got the same thing. All right, back to the text. Suga developed acute, this thing during production of Tomorrow. He recounts, I was preparing the album while performing in Japan when my appendix. Sorry, why do I not? Appendix, right? That's how you pronounce it? Appendix. Meaning?
Appendix.
There we go, appendix. So I was preparing the album while performing in Japan when my appendix ruptured. So I had to come back to Korea and get surgery and recover. But my fever went past 40 degrees Celsius and there was pus built up in my stomach. So I had to get surgery again. Their previous album had fallen below expectations, and Suga had worked on the next album, waiting for after his recovery. An album that had no guarantee of success. So he poured his anxieties and his determination to overcome them into Tomorrow. We thought, I want to see the light for once. If nothing else, we want to have one concert at least. Without those feelings, we wouldn't be who we are today. Suga adds, I wanted to make the kind of music that I used to listen to, something that could give people strength like Tomorrow. I still feel the same now. Public response to Skool Affair restored Suga's hopes for the future. Boy in Love exposed BTS to even more people than before, successfully serving its purpose as a title song. Tomorrow cemented BTS' identity even further. Now everyone's attention, BTS members and Big Hit Entertainment alike, was focused on the next album, Dark and Wild. As Skool Affair had propelled them to candidacy for the top place on music show rankings, naturally their next goal was to win first place. Little by little, the future was growing brighter and the members were renewing their determination. Around this time, Jimin was fighting to improve his singing abilities, which he had been struggling with since the debut. He remembers. People used to say that BTS vocals were lacking. Every time I heard that, my heart broke. BTS vocals, which utilize R&B melodies on a hip-hop backdrop, were an outlier in the trend of K-pop idols, whose music tended to climax with high-pitched vocals. BTS' approach of writing a groove with their voices topping the beats was an unusual style in the idol industry. And the absence of the spectacular high notes that decorated other idol songs made it seem as though BTS' vocal capabilities were not up to par. But Jimin explains that he got himself back on his feet. I didn't just fall down each time. Above all, their slowly growing fandom acted as their emotional support. Suga says, the fans we saw for the first time, every one of them meant so much to us. Even after the debut, Suga wavered internally between his initial identity as a hip-hop artist and his new identity as an idol singer. It was hard for him to cross over from his longtime love. But what eased his transition into that new world was his fans. It's really fascinating that people show up to see me and how dedicated they are. To be honest, I can't be a fan like that for someone else. I used to perform in front of like 2 people in Daegu, but now I had all these fans in front of me who loved me. Think about how heart pounding it was for a kid like me. That's when I understood everything. Like, oh, I have the duty to do what these people want. This vibe helped the entire team acclimatize to idol life. Jimin recalls how he felt. RM and I talked a lot. We weren't really famous or anything, but we couldn't exactly spit on the streets without consequences at this point. And we were gradually building up a sense of responsibility to know the value of our work. Though it wasn't always easy, it was clear that BTS was making headway little by little. That is, until something unexpected happened. You know what I realized? This author, the writer of this book, is good with cliffhangers. We just gotta move on to the next section, which is called Bitter Again. 단짠 단짠, sweet, bitter, and sweet, bitter. And now we're on to the bitter era. In interviews, JHope tends to keep his tone consistent. Even when he discusses BTS's biggest hardships and successes, he always keeps a cool head, almost like an objective observer. But sometimes, very rarely, JHope's voice fills with emotion. One of those moments happened when he discussed the practice sessions leading up to the December 3rd, 2014 Mama Award show, which is... Where is it? Yeah, 2014 Mama. At the time, we were really in combat mode. And wow, it was like we were shooting that movie 300, training like no tomorrow. Block B and our circumstances overlapped too, so we thought we couldn't let ourselves lose. Jimin and I had our teeth gritted as we practiced our solo performances. We wanted to look cool enough to kill, so we prepared with all our hearts. Block B, the group that was slated to perform on a joint stage with BTS at Mama, had been frequently compared with BTS at the time. Block B. And interestingly, Zico, who's the leader of Block B, is now the head of KOZ, which is one of the labels on their HYBE, operating this group called Boy Next Door, which I love. All right. Like BTS, Block B's music was also grounded in hip-hop, with members including rappers like leader Zico. And like BTS, Block B's music was wild and direct. The grueling practice sessions leading up to the Mama performance, however, were not solely because of the friendly competition with Block B. BTS was truly desperate. JHope says, all those performances for Danger were really exhausting. When we had that comeback with Danger, releasing the Dark&WILD album, we had done about 20 music show pre-recordings and then went to a different program where they announced first place. We were told we had to be there, so we went up there live, completely out of it. Then, it turned out we weren't even candidates for first place, which I think was a big shock. JHope's shock was not purely due to their performance on the rankings. V tentatively goes into further detail about the situation. It's fine if other teams are named as candidates for first place. We just need to work harder. But at the broadcasting stations, we had always be the first to say hello and greet everyone. The 선배s, 선배님s, and the 후배s, like the seniors and the those younger, the 선배s and 후배s alike. But some people just ignored us and passed right by, or mocked us for not even being candidates for top place. That hurts. But now I had these people in... Oh, sorry. The incident was a heavy mental blow to BTS. V continues. After the broadcast, we all got into the van together. Someone was crying, someone was getting really mad, and someone just couldn't speak. That unspeakable disappointment and that tear-jerking emotion was too much. I wonder who were these members. The one crying, the one getting really mad, and the one who simply couldn't speak. out of, I don't know, anger and frustration, disappointment. V describes how the incident impacted BTS. That's when we thought, hey, us, let's do really well, so that no one will ever look down on us again. Looking back, I'm glad we at least got a hold of ourselves back then. Because we all found our resolve, we had that determination, and we all came together as one, swearing to become a really awesome group together. Very nice. Part of the reason BTS was so hurt and resolved to succeed was because their first full album, Dark&WILD, released on August 20, 2014 with the title song Danger, was especially important at that point in their career. Unfortunately, Dark&WILD would also turn out to be a description of what awaited the members. Alright, so here's the album cover. Warning, love hurts. It causes anger, jealousy, obsession. Why don't you love me back? Interesting. And the official description. First full-length album. In their first studio album in a year and 2 months, BTS sings about love gone weary in Dark&WILD. They warn the girl who acts like she doesn't love them not to test their love anymore. The boys are no longer in their school uniforms. They have become tougher, singing that their love is not to be treated lightly. A year and 2 months into their debut, BTS made sure that the visuals, performance, and all the elements of their first studio album are flawless. Wow. Tracks that highlight the different genres of hip-hop, South, West, boom bap, and trap provide a clear direction of BTS music. The title track, Danger, is a tightly composed hybrid hip-hop song with the piercing punk rock guitar sound that features stark rap, a powerful hook, and exhilarating shouting. So, as you know, the description of these albums are prepared by the agencies, and I could feel the confidence and the high expectation that Big Hit and the group, and of course Bang were having for this album. Jin even describes the period between their debut and Dark&WILD this way. Where are you, Jin? Right here. To be honest, I don't remember that time very well. First off, I was so busy. I'll be at the dormitory then, come out to practice, record, go to the broadcasting station for performances, perform at events, and then go back to the dorm, on and on. Of course, I remember the debut showcase and our debut performance and the fan autograph sessions, but other than that, for my activities from No More Dream, NO, Boy in Love, and Danger, there isn't much I can remember. That was the schedule in which BTS released Dark&WILD. An all-or-nothing move that put the future of the team on the line. Unfortunately, reality was not so kind. Suga describes their disappointment. We suffer so much for it, so why? Next, so that was the end of this section. Next section is called American Hustle Life. We go back 2 years to the summer of 2012 when Jungkook went to the US for 1 month to learn dance. This was 1 year before BTS debut, when Jungkook was still a trainee. He recalls, maybe because I didn't have a strong sense of purpose when I first became a trainee, the company said I wasn't expressing my unique character. I did everything I was told to do and I had talents, but there was something that didn't show. I think I couldn't express my emotions very well because of my personality. I think they sent me there to go and get a feel for things in person. The overseas study trip was a success. Jungkook was a junior high student at the time with no clear idea of what it meant to be an artist, but the trip transformed him. Jungkook explains, the fascinating thing is, I didn't do anything special there. Instead of typical lessons, we learned dance workshop style, and since I didn't have that kind of experience, I was a little shy and hesitant. When we had time off, I went to the beach to hang out, ate jampong, and when I came to the dormitory by myself, I would have cereal with milk. I was heavier when I came back. But when I danced after coming back to Korea, the company and the Hyungs said I was totally different. Hyungs referring to the members, older members. I honestly don't think I did much there, but they said my personality and my dance style had all changed. I think my skills improved a ton then. And this is something that was brought up during the recent documentary about Jungkook with his golden album that someone compared him to a sponge in a positive way. That he is good at absorbing, elements from other people, like influence from other people in a positive way. No wonder why we call him a 황금 막내, the golden 막내. And he's like he has all the good, received all the good influences from other Hyungs, other members of the group. And he's basically good at everything. Following their performances of Skool Luv Affair, BTS took part in the Mnet Real Variety Program, Real Variety Program, meaning entertainment program or contents, American Hustle Life. American Hustle Life. There you go. And here's a footnote. An 8-episode show broadcast from July 24th to September 11, 2014. Alright, back to the text. So, BTS took part in that TV show shot on location in Los Angeles in 2014. This was a natural extension of Jungkook's 2012 study trip, intended to help the members grow in the home of hip-hop and add to the momentum they had built with their latest album. However, the members would not be studying hip-hop as if studying for a math test. Just as Jungkook had improved both his abilities and his attitude toward his work during his first trip, the immersion in music and dance in the foreign country would be what transformed the newly debuted BTS members. Jimin looks back on some of his fondest memories from the American Hustle Live shoot. Where are you, Jimin? The things we experienced then were more fun than I had expected because it wasn't shown on the broadcast, but we tried shooting a music video there, and I honestly thought I had become a real hip-hop warrior. I tried dance battling too. When I met Orangey, I got this homework to try writing a melody and lyrics, and he was the first person to give me an assignment like that. So we were on the shoot, but RM and I would go outside, and in the garden, the two of us would discuss, what do you want to write about? What melody do you want to use? And it was a lot of fun. I got choreography design homework too. Around this time, BTS was looking at making a reality show of its own. The public loved Skool Luv Affair, and building up fan momentum during the airing of American Hustle Live would, Big Hit Entertainment predicted, lead to an explosion in popularity once the new album was released. At the time, real-time fan meetings with idols on V-Live were not yet a reality, meaning that one of the most effective ways for an idol group to gain recognition was to appear on a variety show featuring only the members. And for those of you who don't know, there's a footnote about V-Live, which is a video platform serviced on Naver from 2015 to 2022 that allowed idols and other stars to communicate with fans in real time. Following the closure of this service, some of the paid content was migrated to the fandom platform Weverse, run by HYBE's child company, Weverse Company. So yeah, back in the days, idols used V-Live for fan communication. Back to the text. Big Hit Entertainment determined that the production of such a show would be one of the most important media initiatives for BTS, alongside their YouTube channel. For instant promotional effect, appearing on established TV variety shows would have been the best choice. Bang Seok himself featured on Star Audition, The Great Birth, and Cho Kwon from 2AM's appearance on the NBC variety show We Got Married had also proven that point. 위대한 탄생, Bang Seok. So that was the audition program. And 우리 결혼했어요. That was, back then, super popular TV show. We Got Married. And that's how some idols became super popular. Alright, where are we? Okay. But variety shows that feature a single artist or idol group exclusively serve a different purpose. These formats appeal strongly to fans of idol content, especially to fans of the specific artist the shows feature. They are the third most awaited content for fans, beaten only by new album promotions and live concerts. And as BTS shows consistent growth since its debut, such a show would allow new fans drawn from album releases to quickly and easily learn more about the members. This effect will later be showcased in Run BTS, serviced on V Live. And Run BTS is such a legendary BTS series, right? And there's a footnote which says, at this event, no, sorry. The first episode was released on August 1st, 2015. The show can be watched on channels such as the YouTube Bangtan TV channel and Weverse. And currently, ever since his discharge from the military, Jin is handling the series. His own series called Run Jin, 달려라 석진. Rookie King channel Bangtan on the SBS MTV channel, which was shot soon after BTS debut, is still viewed by fans curious to learn more about the team's early days. That's called 신인왕 방탄소년단 채널 방탄, which was a real variety program broadcast from September 3rd to October 22nd, 2013, with 8 episodes in total. That was a footnote. American Hustle Life was filled with uncontrollable variables. It was completely unlike any other Korean reality show, as it was shot in America and featured not only BTS but also legends from the hip-hop scene. The production period also overlapped with preparations for the Dark&WILD album. For K-pop idols, especially recently debuted ones, there's only a short time between album releases, which meant the overlap between the shoot schedule and album production was already expected by those involved. However, a surprising new variable turned the American Hustle Live shoot into an unforgettable experience for BTS in more ways than one. There we go, another cliffhanger. Now, the part where they talk about their content strategies, right? Which is the exact strategy that HYBE labels are pursuing even nowadays with other labels and other groups. So, if you look at all the labels and all the groups under HYBE, they put out their own contents very often, right? So once upon a time, I compared, like, I said that each of these labels and each of these groups is comparable to, like a broadcast station. They put out tons of content that are like touching, funny, and entertaining to the fans, right? And it not only appeals to the existing fans, but if the members are just good people, like character-wise and like genuine human beings and funny, then it could appeal to, in Korean term, we call 먹을, right? Just the ordinary K-pop fans, right? That's how, some people say, some fans, they say that through these contents, variety contents, they're able to do the sales of the group, or existing fans can convert just ordinary K-pop fans into their own fandom fans, like a missionary. All right, so that was the end of the session. Now the next session is called "You Are in Danger." But before that, let's have a quick bathroom break for 2 minutes. I swear, I'll be back. All right, that was like less than 2 minutes, wasn't it? Around a minute. And let me have a sip of my tea. All right, the section is called "You Are in Danger." Writing the title song was really exhausting. The melody just wouldn't come. So I got together in the US with Pang Xiok and everyone. It was almost a state of emergency. As RM recalls, the creative process of the Dark and Wild title song Danger was a difficult one. This was a marked contrast to the previous album's title song Boy in Love, which was so clearly a title song from the outset, and its working title was set as final as soon as the track was finalized. Danger, on the other hand, required adjustments after adjustments until the final version was completed. The reason for this sudden difficulty was a leveling up problem faced by all idol groups. To use BTS as an example, No More Dream was a hit song in its own right, which allowed them to find a foothold in the male idol market. But if they wanted to rise to the level of established groups like EXO and Infinite, they had to release multiple hits that shined even brighter than No More Dream. This is an important principle for idol groups in particular, as their popularity is rooted largely in their fandoms. In order to retain and grow the momentum created by one hit song, an idol group must continue to produce stunning hits that visibly grow the scale of the fandom. Improved sales numbers and stream counts are not enough. Leveling up requires explosive public response on a scale beyond what came before, a fandom response that goes wild at the newly released content. Present-day BTS achieved this with the series of hits I Need You, Run, Burning Up, Fire, 불타오르네, Blood, Sweat and Tears, 피땀 눈물, Spring Day, 봄날, DNA, Fake Love, and Idol. And of course, they had tons of other hit songs after that too, which were followed by more hits that consistently and visibly grew the scale of their fandom. There you go. The problem was that releasing more than 2 back-to-back hits was a staggering achievement. If a new song was too similar to the previous hit, the public would think BTS was too predictable. It might lead to commercial success, but not the kind of passionate fandom response the previous release received. On the other hand, a completely new style might alienate the established fan base because it was too different from what they liked. This was a dilemma faced by all artists fighting to produce their next hit. And that dilemma still exists. Not only in K-pop, but just in music industry in general, or in other creative fields too. BTS could carry on in the style of Boy in Love and secure stable popularity, but that approach would never lead to later works like I Need You. Indeed, the songs they had promoted on music shows up to this point, No More Dream, NO, Attack on Bangtan, and Boy in Love, had a consistent tone, but all had completely different vibes. Now that they had drawn the public's attention with Boy in Love, BTS needed to showcase themselves to even more people with an explosive title song for Dark and Wild. The title itself pointed at their character, teasing the dark and wild side of the group. And since BTS was already known for spectacular performances, their new title song also needed to live up to and exceed that expectation. These factors all came together into one massive milestone during the shoot of American Hustle Live, packing their already crowded schedules to the limit. V looks back on their day-to-day. We were shooting that show and working on the album at the same time, so we recorded the song in America and practiced the Danger choreography there too. When the shoot ended at 8 in the evening, we would immediately go into choreography practice until dawn, get a bit of sleep in between, and go back to the shoot in the morning. If someone said we were taking a 10-minute break in the middle, we all laid down where we were standing and fell asleep instantly. That just gave me just goosebumps. The extent to which they worked hard. The superhuman schedule led to some unbelievable incidents. V continues. We practiced all night and came back to the accommodations at sunrise, covered in sweat, but we were so heated that steam was rising from us. So someone said, "Whoa, look at him. He is literally smoking." RM succinctly describes their LA experience. It was a time when I asked, "What's in me? What could be in me?" and pushed myself to the limit. Yeah. I mean, there's a question, right? How bad do you want it? And BTS members want it so bad. That's why they, worked so hard. All right, that was the end of the session. The next session is called The Worst Timing. Unlike Boy in Love, BTS's new song, Danger, did not become a first place music show candidate. Danger. 하루만 Danger. Oh, where is Danger? Okay. Hold up. I think this is it. Yeah, there you go. That's the thumbnail. That's V, right? About to cut his long hair, front hair. Alright, so unlike Boy in Love, BTS's new song Danger did not become a first place music show candidate. According to the Cowan chart, Dark&Wild's net shipments were at 100,906 units, pushing it at 14th place. It was only a 14,902 unit increase from Skool Luv Affair half a year earlier, and was as good as no growth at all. The album that had pushed them to their physical limits and given them the highest hopes of all ended up on the wrong side of the sweet bitter cycle. The members were despondent. This was not. Sorry, I had to check. Despondent. Despondent. There you go. I rarely use that word in real life. This was not unrelated to the aforementioned belittling during a music show shoot, which was a powerful emotional blow. It was also the reason Suga sighed. We suffer so much for it, so why? Suga's disappointment would eventually propel him to pour his very soul into music through the album series, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, 화양연화. But at the point of Dark&Wild release, no one knew if BTS even had a future. Suga recalls, "For Danger, we were changing the choreography until just before we shot the MV. We would rehearse the dance, and if we had a bit of time, it would sleep for about 10 minutes and then go back to shooting the MV. And I began to feel resentful, like I thought there was a God, but at this point, don't we deserve a little something from God? Like, at least, hey guys, you guys have worked really hard. That kind of acknowledgement?" V is even more frank about BTS's predicament at the time. "Put simply, we were a team that was only still alive thanks to ARMY. A group that was only alive because the fans were listening. A group that only released its album thanks to them." BTS was once again in trouble, but the disappointment of Dark&Wild was not the end of their tribulations. If the history of BTS could be placed into the dramatic frame of introduction, rising action, climax, and conclusion, Dark&Wild was only the introduction. And 2014 still had more curveballs to throw. Oh man. American Hustle Live began airing on July 24, 2014, and Dark&Wild was released on August 20, 2014. However, the summer of 2014 is remembered for another momentous occasion in the K-pop industry. Mnet's hip-hop survival program, Show Me the Money 3, which began airing on July 3rd that year. It would be an understatement to say that the Show Me the Money series, specifically the season that aired in 2014, transformed the Korean hip-hop scene forever. This season of the show established an annual tradition of rap battles between the best rappers on the scene, appealing to both hip-hop fans and variety show viewers. Ironically, one of the people who established this tradition was an idol in training, Bobby, who would go on to become a member of the male idol group iKON. Having already featured on Win, Who Is Next, Bobby had already developed a following, but he was still a trainee because his team had lost the competition on that show. And the winner of the show was literally made into a group called Winner, right? His management company, YG Entertainment, chose to have him appear on Show Me the Money 3 alongside fellow future iKON member BI. The duo made waves throughout the show's run, and Bobby was crowned the winner. If I remember correctly, iKON is no longer part of YG. And of course, BI exited the group before the contract was over between the group and YG. But yeah, Show Me the Money used to be very popular in Korea, although they are no longer being aired. I think the last season was 11, right? All right. This outcome had a tremendous impact on both the idol and hip-hop scenes. The victory of an idol rapper on Show Me the Money 3, a show featuring a significant number of accomplished rappers, was a sort of turning point that opened the way for idols to be recognized for their skills by both the hip-hop scene and mainstream audiences. The following year, Show Me the Money 4 featured Winner member Mino, among other idol rappers who showcased their impressive abilities. That makes me curious. Are any HYBE idol members been to Show Me the Money? Participated in Show Me the Money? I know Zico was a producer for one of the season or two of the seasons. I gotta look into it. The new paradigm of idol rappers competing against established rappers from the hip-hop scene became a sensation and led to even more interactions between artists from the two scenes. A case in point was Epic High's song Born Hater, released soon after the end of Show Me the Money 3, which featured Bobby, B.I., Mino, all of the members of YG at the time, and some of the biggest names in Korean hip-hop like Binzino and Verbal Gent. Show Me the Money 3 added yet another obstacle to BTS's struggle for recognition. Following the diss from Be Free, BTS, in particular RM and Suga, who are rappers from the hip-hop scene, felt pressure to prove themselves. It was at that point that Show Me the Money 3 showed other idols taking the lead in securing recognition from the hip-hop scene. And in the process, Bobby released a song YGGR Hip Hop, 연결고리 Hip Hop, on the show, where he dissed all idol rappers with the exception of the few he personally respected. So I guess you can think of it as a K-pop version of Kendrick Lamar's, what was that? Control, right? Where he absolutely stole the show from, why can't I remember? Kendrick Lamar, Control. Yeah, Big Sean and Jay Electronica. Okay. In his later song, Guard Up and Bounce, and the song Come Here, Iriwaba, in which he featured, he specifically dissed a number of idol rappers, including BTS. RM's stage name at the time, Rap Monster, was directly targeted. To be clear, Bobby's diss was completely different in character from Be Free's insults. Be Free had mocked BTS out of the blue mid-conversation. Yeah, that was so disrespectful. But Bobby's rap diss adhered to hip-hop culture, where artists pick fights through rap and diss one another in a sort of dare to prove themselves. Seen in this context, Bobby's diss was a challenge to idol rappers other than the ones he already respected. His lyrics to Come Here explicitly dared his peers to battle. RM, too, took the diss as a friendly challenge rather than an insult, and remarked that he respected Bobby. Unfortunately, the diss could not have come at a worse moment. BTS was going through a mountain of struggles all at once, and the diss was just one more in a pile of difficulties. Making matters worse was the fact that Come Here, Iriwaba, the track, was released on December 2nd, 2014, precisely one day before the Mama stage, the stage where BTS was already slated to give the performance of a lifetime. So that's what we're going to talk about next in the section called 200%. In the hours between the release of Come Here and BTS's performance at the Mama, the BTS members and everyone at Big Hit Entertainment were only just barely holding themselves together. RM was already in Hong Kong where the Mama performance would take place when he heard the news about Come Here. He did not have much time to think of a response. I kept agonizing about whether or not to mention Bobby on stage. I couldn't sleep at the hotel, just thinking, do I? Do I not? Or should I? Should I not? My mind was a mess. If RM didn't respond to Bobby at the Mama, which would be his first performance after the diss, any later responses would lack all impact. But RM had less than a day to compose new lyrics responding to the diss in the midst of the rap he had prepared for the collaborative performance with Zico from Block B. Right here. Meanwhile, Big Hit Entertainment staff exchanged constant communications between Korea and Hong Kong, considering all the issues that might arise from RN's response to Bobby and potential response measures to such issues. It was only right for RM to respond to rap with rap. He had been dissed 3 times so far, and responding with silence was out of the question, especially considering his fans. At the same time, BTS could not afford to mess up on the Mama stage. After everything they had been through in recent months, they had to put on the perfect performance. RM would have to respond to the diss properly, but at the same time, BTS as a whole had to make certain the audience focused on the team's performance. On the day of the 2014 Mama, Mnet introduced the BTS Block B collaborative performance as a next generation of K-pop. But in reality, the performance was more of a war to become the next generation of K-pop. The teams would take turns showing off their rap and dance, and then perform their songs in a battle format. RM looks back on his feelings about the performance. We were in the position of trying to crawl up somehow. In those days, every day was full of really upsetting, underhanded, and frustrating situations. And then in my case, that thing happened with Bobby. I was already really eager and desperate, so I was somehow dragging myself forward, and I thought I was really on the verge of a big burst when it felt like someone came up with a pin and popped a balloon. Jimin recalls his emotions prior to the Mama stage. We had to win, no matter what. I didn't want to fall behind in any way. All these circumstances came together with the members' venomous determination and desperation, propelling their Mama preparation to new heights. RM describes the team vibe exactly as it was. Not just me, everyone thought the same thing. If a Hyung got mad, I got mad. If a Dongseng, younger members, got mad, I got mad. We were moving as one at the time. So we were just on exactly the same wavelength. According to Jimin, RM often said the following to the members before the performance. There's this thing RM used to say to us. Don't get all excited. We're not anything yet. We are nothing. He said that every time we were about to go up on stage. I wonder what they say before they go up on stage nowadays. Before even pulling off the Mama stage, BTS accomplished many things as they practiced. One big accomplishment was the perfection of the choreography for Danger. At the time, Danger, where is it? All right here. At the time, Danger boasted the most difficult dance choreography of anything BTS has released. It involved a host of moves where details had to be matched to perfection. And although the dance appears to maintain a consistent tempo, discrete speed changes between individual moves require the members to constantly adjust their pace. The biggest draw of the choreography was when the members froze in unison throughout the dance, which meant that everyone had to be fully tense throughout the performance, adjusting arms and legs in turn to change speed, and also remain in perfect sync with one another. Jimin explains, compared to everything up to Boy in Love, Danger had a ton more details and the movements were faster. When I did moves that my body had never used before, that my body had never done, it just needed a completely different kind of strength, which was the hardest part. Jimin adds, and the thought of, we're still not much. All of it converged, so that's why it was so tough. However, the difficult choreography of Danger would work to their advantage at the Mama. The sustained intensity of BTS's moves left a powerful impact on the stage when all eyes were locked on them. There was a concern that broadcast cameras might not be able to capture all the details of their choreography, but the issue was solved by adding a large number of back dancers to the stage to mimic the performance. The visual image of the BTS members in white and back dancers in black was a sort of starting point for the group's later large-scale performances shown in songs like Burning Up, Fire, Brutalina. V remembers the Mama Danger performance. At the Mama, we brought our 200% of this song. Like V says, the Mama stage was the first opportunity BTS had to showcase Danger and their strengths to a mainstream audience. The intensity and the explosive rock-inspired ending was a perfect fit for the large venue, and the stage, being massive in comparison to Korean music show stages, allowed BTS to pull off a large-scale performance that utilized the effect of back dancers. The Mama performance showed BTS how to maximize the effect of Danger and sowed the seeds for the group's unique performance style to come. The Danger performance was impressive on its own, but even more importantly, the BTS show as a whole that night, from JHope and Jimin's appearance to the climactic performance of Danger, had a consistent, dramatic flow. When asked, what about the performance he poured over the most, JHope replies, in my case, it was really the dance. I wanted to really push things to the edge when it came to the parts I could do. During the opening solo battles, JHope made a powerful impression by raising himself slightly into the air and landing on the ground with all his weight on one knee. That was the knee slam of my soul. I revived that feeling from my debut and smashed my knee on the floor with all my strength. So as soon as the performance ended, I grabbed the knee and said, oh, that hurts. Versus or competition was the whole concept. So I had this really strong feeling that we must not lose no matter what. Jimin's following performance, where he tore his shirt open mid-performance, was a result of sheer willpower and determination. He recalls, anyway, we had to face Block B, so we kept ending up talking about how to make it a little more impactful. Then I think someone said, gotta tear some clothes here. Because the other side, Block B, were great dancers too, so we were thinking about how to one-up them. And here is, Danger, Jimin. Yep. Tearing his shirt off. Jimin also remembers a small touch he added to give him an edge over the competition. When we were doing the collab stage, Block B looked really strong on the visual front. So I'm petite to begin with, but I didn't want to look small. So when we were walking, I purposely walked with big strides. RM's rap that day also added to the publicity surrounding the performance. The day Bobby released Come Here, that is, the day before the Mama performance, RM posted a tweet of himself listening to Do What I Do by Verbal Jint and highlighting a specific section of the lyrics as a preview of what was to come. And he said, it's nice to see or nice to listen to this again or something. or it's been a long time, lol. Then, during the Mama performance, he gave a direct response to Bobby's provocation, which instantly blew up online. And here's a footnote about that. At this event, RM showcased the mixtape song RM for 2014 Mama. So there was a footnote. Back to the text. BTS threw themselves onto the stage, pulled in audiences with brilliant new ideas, and refused to hide the reality of their lives. Although JHope, Jimin, and RM solo performances leading up to Danger were widely different from one another, each was brimming with dynamic energy that threatened to break past the boundaries of idol music and the idol industry. If the world of idols is a fantasy game, the BTS performance brought in the rough, raw, and wild essence of the more dramatic hip-hop genre, without compromising their identity as idols. Everything came together for the climactic final performance of Danger, which was also a preview of what the group had in store for the world. So there we go. That was the end of this section. The next section is called One Day in December 2014. Even before the Mama stage, BTS had already recovered somewhat from the disappointing reception to Danger. Just as they had recovered from NO in Oh Are You Late Too with Attack on Bangtan, they followed up Danger with War of Hormone, which received a positive public response. 호르몬 전쟁. War of Hormone was a sort of emergency measure by the Bangtan, being grounded in a different philosophy from previous BTS songs. Judging that Danger had ironically put the team in danger, Bang thoroughly produced the performance, MV, and costume concepts for War of Hormone to fit the most mainstream and popular idol trends of the time. The MV stood out in that it was shot to appear like a long single take, but in all other respects, it was as close as Bang could get to what he understood to be the kind of idol performance mainstream fans wanted. In the MV and choreography, BTS members charm audiences with boundless cheer and optimism, alongside a hint of tough guy swagger, to match the title's reference to hormones. And as Suga explains, this approach was a success. After Danger, the company said, "We can't just end it like this." And our schedule suddenly got filled while we were resting. We shot concept photos and an MV for War of Hormone, and the response was great. It was an impetus for us to bounce back. At the same time, wait, am I pronouncing this word right? Hormone?
Hormone.
Alright, yeah. Alright. At the same time, War of Hormone was a sort of wall that BTS had to overcome. Thus far, their hits, Attack on Bangtan, Boy in Love, and War of Hormone, retained BTS's trademark wildness while showing off a lighthearted side. But Bang Si-hyuk and BTS were well aware that maintaining the same style going forward would not allow them to level up. Not only that, the style of Boy in Love alone would not fully capture the messages and realities that had filled their albums and music thus far. This was what Dark&WILD was meant to address. This album is not as frequently discussed today, caught between the first three albums, often called the Skool trilogy, and the paradigm-shifting The Most Beautiful Moment in Life series. But Dark&WILD nonetheless played a crucial part in propelling BTS into the Most Beautiful Moment in Life era. Dark&WILD also set itself apart from the Skool trilogy by veering away from R&B elements rooted in hip-hop, shifting to a more intricate soundscape, and establishing a new style of self-expression for the group. This change asserts itself with the very first track, Intro, What Am I to Do? Intro, What Am I to You? Which, unlike previous intro songs, fills previously sparse gaps in the oral experience with complex sounds, magnifying the scale of the sound and dramatically pushing the composition forward. Hip-hop 성애자, is the biggest departure from previous songs, allowing the members to express the impact hip hop had on their lives and growth, and confess their love for the genre. It follows the trend of other BTS songs in that it emphasizes the hip hop aspect of their music, but the scaled up soundscape gradually builds up to a powerful climax that leaves a lasting impression on the listener. At the same time, the vocalists held their emotions in check to avoid sounding too dramatic. This was yet another departure from the mainstream K-pop idol style and allowed the members to express more intricate, complicated emotion with the masterful use of R&B and soul music, and crystallization of what would become the BTS vocal style. The album was a rediscovery of BTS's dark and wild side, which had each been showcased separately in previous albums. The wildness in No More Dream and the darkness in NO. Boy in Love was on the wild side and was upbeat and cheerful. The tracks in Dark and Wild, on the other hand, maintain a consistent dark tone that simultaneously builds a larger scale and a powerful emotional foundation that fills each song with passion. Dense with intricate details, each track starts off dark and builds up to a pounding finish that unleashes the wild side of the members while retaining the dark and heavy energy of the song. Dark and Wild cemented a style unique to BTS, and the Mama performance was the group's first opportunity to show the wider world their full potential, dark and wild and dramatic at once. The Danger performance gave them the time to tell a story on stage, where BTS were free to show off their disparate but unified style of teamwork. The separate but unified style of teamwork. And the public began to respond. RM was soon cast in the TV and variety show Problematic Man, 문제적 남자, where he brought even more attention to BTS. This casting was especially significant because it was owed almost entirely to the explosive responses to the Mama performance. I had at any rate responded to Bobby at the Mama. Because of that, it ended up a little controversy on its own, and I was cast in Problematic Man. The director of the program at the time saw my name in the real-time search rankings on Naver and looked me up, wondering, who is this person with the weird name? Because at the time it was called Rat Monster, and thought, seems like he's studied up quite a bit, and sought me out. It happens with the Be Free incident too, but I felt like whenever something bad happens, something good happened too. Very positive mindset. The BTS performance did not instantly rocket BTS to the Mama performance did not instantly rocket BTS to the top of the popularity rankings. But it was a capstone on everything the team had fought for thus far. Audiences who watched the Mama performance or read about BTS after RM's response at the award show began to consume BTS music and MVs. And so, the year 2014 drew to a close, and JHope celebrated 4 years in Seoul. Around this time, one of the Big Hit Entertainment staff members who had been monitoring public responses to BTS made a sudden report to then Big Hit Vice President Choi Yoo-chung. Something's happening. They're getting more and more fans. Wow, that part just gave me a goosebumps. And as you know, BTS by then was starting to gradually and dramatically growing a fan base in the US, right? And I think that's gonna be one of the things that they're gonna talk about in the next chapter. So that was the end of chapter 2. That was quite long. They talked about a lot of things together, right? And yeah, I mean, BTS career is filled with pain and struggles, but some might say that was one of the hardest moments, 2014. Of course, when asked, fans might respond differently. When was the hardest period for you as a fan of BTS? Because the group got hated from the left and right. But back then, it was all about survival, right? moving on from then, it was about the hate train. But at the time, it was the fact that their very existence was threatened that became a problem for the group, which made them to try harder and harder, and which is why the album Dark and Wild not being popular was quite of a bitter moment for all the members. So there you go. Let me know what you thought about this portion of the chapter. What was the most memorable part for you? If you have listened to everything that was said so far in this video. And then I might make a reaction video to one of the contents mentioned in this part of the chapter. Let me know in the comments if you have any recommendations. But I don't think I can react to this one, Mama Performance, due to copyright issues. So something posted by, released by Bangtan TV or HYBE labels. Okay? So I'll see you again in chapter 3, which is called Love, Hate, Army. And in that chapter, they're going to talk about 3 albums. The most beautiful moment in life, part 1, the most beautiful moment in life, part 2, and of course, the most beautiful moment in life, Young Forever. And this year, as you know, marks the 10th anniversary of See you guys later. Peace and love. Bye-bye.